So the Seven-Headed Dragon Club created the Donald Marshall Show. Seven-Headed Dragon Club, I am Jessie K. Links on YouTube, and I co-witnessed the war crimes with Donald Marshall, as far as my family members, who were my entire family basically, plus a sixth member in the mid-90s came out, who was inducted into the formerly and informally known as the Montauk Project by and through the Renaissance Project, funded by and run by the CIA in the underground facilities known as the clone centers. That I witnessed your gamut of war crimes. Essentially, I do have a pending lawsuit that is on appeal currently. As far as there may have been other Montauk projects that for whatever reason it's difficult for me to ascertain, because everyone who has ever whistleblowed about it, they were cloned, so their identity is unremarkable to the co-witness participant as victims, as far as I know. The details that Donald Marshall is versus is not permitted to disclose, I would close that bridge gap here. That I would really just encourage anyone that wants to read about it, if it finally does make it in public law, my lawsuit, Jessica Kirby versus the CIA et al., where I am praying that the federal courts of Virginia close down the clone center. It is a public law permitting closure and realignment of military bases. That the people would deserve a congressional meeting about those closure and realignments. As far as the individuals whose intellectual properties are being stolen or were being stolen and trafficked, versus who are now obviously war crime victim, Holocaust survivors, and essentially, versus the clones that are still living in those underground facilities, if they in fact were not delivered to a safe haven, which would be a hospital of sorts for the incapacitated. And I would deliver the code here, where basically the code is, as a lyricist versus as a dialogue screenplay writer for your garden variety advanced technology Hollywood film, discloses, and whether you want to call that medium disclosure, because they do paint over, like, as we know in America, beyond the mass deception and fraud, that it got away with painting over your science fiction as science fiction, because you're looking at a box when you're looking at the film. But I would label it medium disclosure. The code, which is found throughout, like my playlist would list all the songs of bands that we co-made. And in fact, we didn't just co-make the songs like Donald Marshall. We made Donald Marshall program, which if anybody believes what they're hearing, that would be considered hard disclosure as far as my family and I, like my mom, my dad, my grandmother, and then in the mid-90s, a sixth member. I always refer to Queen Elizabeth as member number one, and she did permit us when I was a kid. We agreed and made the deal that all of our blood as slaves to her and the CIA and the Illuminati has freed this country, that in 2020 and around the year of 2020 we were free. Now technically your gold and everyone's golden property would be returned, though if anyone has read that, now how you do that is through paperwork. It's lengthy. Of course, it's lengthy paperwork. If you know a broker, the problem with knowing a broker is you have to actually understand what it is and what it's called, and mostly a lot of the legs that permit that and support that law through its amendments, which it's through the Security and Exchange Commission and under the Edgar portals. And really, if you wanted to know more deeply about it, you'd have to email me. And I am so deep in litigation right now, pending through CPS, the courts, the fraud, through what I experienced, the intellectual property theft, which is kind of irrelevant right now, how I get that money, but which I'm not even concerned with the money. It's like well beyond money. If they even gave me money, it'd be a spit in the eye for everything that I've had to co-witness and go through on behalf of my family, loss, suffering, and all of that. As far as, well, who's guilty, who's not, who knew about this, who didn't. First of all, my grandmother, the war crimes probably didn't begin until I was born and brought to the facility itself. They probably didn't even have violence per se yet going on at that place. And if you look at the history of modern day media in this country, that there wasn't Jezebelian wickedness in the media yet, well until after I began witnessing and suffering the nightly rape and torture that it became, well after I was inducted in and around 1982. Either that or they got me at birth at 1981, but year of, but technically, so I can't really blame anyone other than the nature of the beast, using MK Ultra and using the REM stage consciousness transference technology, and using it purportedly inappropriately, even though if we were all asleep. And after a certain age, you begin to lose memory of the nightly events, because that Men in Black style memory erasure, it has a the word is a cumulative effect, where after so many nightly rounds of memory erasure upon torture, you will not remember it, or sheer memory erasure just on top of it's espionage is a good legal word. Beyond that, as far as the codes, trying to review the lyricists, artists, writers that I, my witness and as co-participant, that we wrote all of the songs, we made all of the commercials, we made all of the films, we made and released all of your household appliances, and all of the technology is actually that they used through that REM stage consciousness transference event and procedure is it's reverse engineered technology that was found when the UFOs that were eventually crash landed. Now, whether draconians have been had their hand in destroying Mars. Basically, there was life on Mars 10,000 years ago, approximately 10,000 years ago, that their hands in civilizations spanning that length of time ago caused the fall of Mars. They did what they did here, but they did it to Mars, and they only did half of what they did here on Mars. And the thing is, people don't even know the extent of what they've done here on this planet. That obviously God loves 10 people on this planet, that this has been permitted to continue. Not just that, but whether Jesus Christ has even been born yet, because it does disclose in the Bible that Jesus Christ comes at the end of the ages. There wouldn't be another reason to keep us around at this point other than to await that arrival of Jesus Christ. From what I understand, that they revealed basically everything to me in exchange for that blood money that basically is the entirety of the money in circulation would have been by and through my family and the Seven-Headed Dragon Club, C. Donald Marshall. As far as making money back, whether it's enough blood money, there's not enough blood money as a masked agent, so he can only disclose so much, which is why I would refer to my channel as well. Jessie K links is God Save Our Children on YouTube, and I do have a Twitter account that I disclose about on my YouTube channel. The amount of blood money is a spit in the eye for the terror that my life has been. However, I have, referred to Jesus Christ and the angels and God. The truth will set you free. It is not about money anymore. With the amount of saints that have blood that has been spilt in the underground that is overflowing to gutters now, we're also facing future weather anomalies. You can refer to your Bible. It is true human history. If it's history, it's now, because we haven't entered the New Testament docs yet. Maybe that's why no one's a true Christian. You're not going to find a true Christian. You're not going to even find a priest that's able to interpret what the book means in its hidden code words. So, for instance, we were referenced to code words not only to make most of the commercial songs, save for your Jennifer Lopez's and your Beyonce's. For instance, the clone, we code word skeleton, mannequin, dummy, wax people, because when they make these clones, they needed to make them easily remote controllable through a brain chip. As I was brain chipped at birth, on or around after my birth, so shortly thereafter, my DNA match clone has the matching brain chip, so that when I fall asleep, I enter REM stage. This is how the technology works. My thoughts control that clone with my matching brain chip. This is, the Avatar project. They have the REM stage thing. Somebody that wants to brain chip or chip themselves ever consent to it. Obviously, they've targeted all of the saints, and they've targeted all of the very old souls. Not only that, but it's using a technology to increase the gravity on Earth. And of course, they control the weather and increase the gravity on Earth. Also, they're able to repress past life memories. Anybody with a past life memory, they can essentially erase your memory of your past life as well. This is the other. This is almost 50% of its goal. As far as the Beast, and the Beast is the movies are documentaries. The Hollywood films are documentaries. They are documentaries, in fact, because after they were done stealing our intellectual properties to make films with, that was part of my job, nightly job at the Clone Center, was to write your screenplay. Hollywood films, they had to, when they were done bleeding me dry, or bleeding all of my family members dry, and it's just like your Hollywood film media, American media film history, because that is why in the 20s, when they released televised media, and mostly through moving motion pictures, they were centered in and around romantics, and then you had crime. Romantic films, crime films. They generally, that's why they didn't release any of the advanced technology films or films involving aliens, until they were done bleeding those their ghostwriter slaves, and so they were done bleeding them dry. And then, that's why they didn't see that technology about aliens yet until the 1950s. They were done doing the war crimes and the war crime films and the Hollywood romance films. And that is why we're just seeing it now. As far as when they were done bleeding me, each of my family members, drive our intellectual properties to make screenplays, they referred to Stargate. So Stargate is basically the Ark of God. They looked upon the Ark to base the films on. So the Ark is basically a truth-telling machine. Anything you ask it, it knows the answer to, like the magic mirror in Snow White. So basically, if you have any questions, you can look upon the Ark by viewing a Hollywood film. And as far as I know, anyone that views the Ark dies. Anyone who touches it dies. USA, died when he touched the Ark as David was attempting to relocate it. That is a biblical scripture. I believe it is it's obviously like First Kings. Passage in First Kings. However, what I tell people that are scared, but what I was talking about actually that are scared, we revealed the code in songs, so commercial songs. Skeleton. Why we use the term skeleton to disclose about that was actually a clone. They actually made a man out of me. They actually took the blood out of me. They actually blocked our alarm. We were attempting to reveal and alarm the public that our intellectual properties were being stolen, and they're just clones down here that you view on TV and in Hollywood films and in the music media, such as, and they had a party blocking that, because a lot of Hollywood and modern day commercial music Ticketmaster performers made money off of those songs and the movies, that they are not the true artists. They are not the originating artists. They all have ghostwriters. All of their music is sung for them through a clone. We even sung the original tracks through a clone. We even made their live version of lip syncing through that clone. Obviously, there's scouts out there, and obviously those purported famous people are MK Ultra'd. I even thought at one point that some of them might be uploaded with memory of having made my songs, so that they actually might believe that they actually did. It's irrelevant at this point. I know I did, and that God knows that's enough for me. I don't think I can get credit. I don't think credit is a real credit's a fiction. It's a word. People cannot give you fame. That is entirely made up. It's fiction. It's not a real thing. You live fame in your heart and mind. If I think buying through the love of God, I don't think you can ascertain fame otherwise. I mean, look at Jesus Christ. Look at any of the saints and the prophets. Are they famous? Like, some people might think they're famous. I think they are to a degree, but if I'm one of them, what difference does it make if people are not aligned with me? Because we're still in a very wicked Jezebelian era. Majority of the humans on the planet don't realize that they're worshiping fakeness, false, Babylonian, censored nonsense. It's boo-hooky. Basically, and witchcraft, and targeting the saints like that, and then trying to. But they did probably MK Ultra a lot of your run of the gamut celebrity. They probably did MK Ultra them, and then leave them no purported choice. Like, I'm just gonna throw one out there. Tom Hanks, like, for instance, when I made disclosure that he raped me, I could not talk about the other things, the war crimes, the torture, the espionage, and the blood money theft that that person stole my intellectual property to accept credit for it. I mean, it's all fake through the televised media. And by the way, and you can't get it on TV without being through the clone center. That it runs the media. It is the media. There's no other way. It is around Hollywood camera media other than through the clone center. And I could only talk about the rape. That's why the pedo movement, the pedo disclosure movement, came directly right before we were hearing about the seven-headed dragon club disclosure. Ghostwriter disclosure is what it is, through the CIA, through those underground facilities that we're talking about with the Donald Marshall program. And but for instance, with this, the clone is a skeleton because it is denied certain DNA strands that make it remote controllable, and that is why these creatures who were created in these underground facilities require a housing, and they require like a nurse oversight, a daily assistance housing, like the Donald Marshall program calls it. He calls it, they require handlers, and that's why. And the planet requires closure of these clone centers, and I am asking a federal court. Judge Elizabeth Haynes recently dismissed my case, so it is an appellate. It is now in Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, to reopen that case in order that because my request and wish for a preliminary injunction that these centers are closed. There's one on the border of New Mexico, Colorado, Dulce Base. There's a China Lake location. Those are both underground. And then there is one above ground that purportedly no one knows about. I think it's in northwest Colorado. It is above ground. And then Lancaster County had its own issues because World War II Nazis did hide among the Amish. That they opened, not only did they open a clone center, but they were trying to open a fully functional Ghostwriter Seven-Headed Dragon Club series that, such as the one Donald Marshall Program speaks on, the one that I'm talking about now. And whether I will alert and report those findings to the Court of Appeals, and God forbid they remand the case to the Fourth Circuit District, Virginia, and the disclosure is so vast that most people are not able to hear it, as far as replacing people with clones, as far as that is real, and as far as the soul chip, that your entire life can be stored on a chip, and this is how they're replacing people with clones. Not only that, but they're hybridizing them with advanced alien DNA. They have that kind of technology. And you look at like for instance, Stranger Things, there's an upside down, in the upside down there's a vine beast that it understands human emotions, and reflects upon human emotions, that they clone that, and that is featured in the film Edge of Tomorrow, 2014 film. And it's not science fiction, guys. All right,